All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of Neck Up Live. My name is Jeff Ramey with my co-host Eugene Collins, and our guest this evening is Mr. Gage Hughes. Gage was a 2018 graduate of Greenup High School and a 2018 Major League Draft pick of the Kansas City Royals. So welcome to the show, Gage.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, Gage. I heard about you as a young kid. One of my good friends, Brett Roberts, out at South Webster High School, and your grandpa, Mike, I think at the time was coaching the girls' team, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah, I think he might have been.
Would that timing be about right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. But anyway, he told me about this young kid that your grandpa would have in the gym named Gage, that he would feed wiffle balls to, and you would hit him, switch hitting already at that age. So not only is your grandpa one of the best high school basketball coaches this area's ever seen, your mom and your aunts were all Division I college basketball players, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
So what was it like growing up in that family of athletes and with great coaches as well?
It was honestly a blessing, because I mean, they would push me. There's days that I don't know, I wouldn't really be up for it, and they would push me, help me get there. But we're all like real competitive, so I think that helps too.
And you can just tell you guys are a very close family. Seems like there's a lot of love in that family. But I would have to think, they had some insight that not a lot of people have, being Division I athletes, going through the process of it. How helpful was that?
Oh, it was really helpful. Like, if anytime I had a question about something or needed some advice, I could go to any of them, and they would help me.
So you were on the map early. Like I said, I remember Brett Roberts telling me as a kid, he said, this kid's unbelievable. Eric Johnson would tell me about you, and I'd hear stories about you as a young kid. I was a late bloomer. I know Eugene was a late bloomer. So I'm always curious, when you have that pressure and those expectations on you at such a young age, how did you deal with that? Was that ever a lot to handle? I'm just curious how you dealt with that.
Honestly, I didn't really think much of it. I mean, I just went out there, played every day, do something I love. So, I mean, I didn't really think too much about the pressure part.
Yeah, I always wondered, if that was a blessing or a curse. And we've had a couple other guests, kind of the same, scenario where they were just very good at a young age. And I think they gave us the same answer. They just went out and played. But unfortunately, I wasn't put in a position to where I had to deal with that. So Gage, you were a multi-sport athlete, played 6 years of varsity baseball in Kentucky because the rules are different over there, and 5 years of varsity basketball.
Yes, sir.
And you were very good at both, a 2,000-point scorer in basketball. Could have played college basketball, no doubt about it. We see a lot of specialization now at an early age, but you chose to play multiple sports. I mean, what do you think about kids specializing at a young age, and how did playing multiple sports help you?
I think they should play multiple. I think it's the best way to go. It's just you get something different with each sport. So like playing basketball, that helped with like cutting and like moving lateral and all that stuff. So I mean, the running part, that's always good. But I definitely think multi-sport in high school is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. How do you think basketball helped you in baseball?
Oh, I don't know, really. I don't know.
And I guess the other question, was baseball your favorite sport, or was basketball your favorite sport?
I'd say it was probably 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I liked baseball. I knew my chance would be in baseball, so took that a little more serious. So I get probably had to go with baseball, but it's close, 60-40.
Okay, it's fair. We've had. Go ahead, Gene. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Gage, how much, I know your grandpa had a lot to do with both basketball and baseball, working with you. I get the chance to see him in the gym every day coaching, and his ability to teach is like unmatched. And the one thing that I always admired about him is when he's teaching skills, he don't waste no time. I mean, he gets right down to here's what you need to do to be good, and he drills it and drills it. Was he that way with you?
Yeah, yeah. We didn't do a lot, honestly. We would just hit the stuff we needed to hit, and then we wouldn't do a lot of like overboard extra stuff. We
Right.
just really like get right to the point and get after it in that aspect.
And so he always used to tell me, and your cousin CJ, he's another switch hitter. He's working with him on being a switch hitter, and he talked about how pitching all those, throwing all that batting practice to you, and so just that whole repetition is something that you guys do. He did with you, did with all your aunts.
Yeah, yeah. He shoot. Are we live?
Yeah.
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 Oh gosh.
Well, no,
No,
this
no.
is being recorded. This is being
Oh,
recorded.
okay.
Yeah, it will be live. It will be live.
All right. So we can cut that part. Or
What do you? Is it something you want cut?
I was just gonna have you repeat the question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we can do that.
Sorry
We can
about
do
that.
No, we're fine.
Yeah. My question is, do basically the skills that you work on, is it pretty much the same for basketball and baseball? Did he teach you the skill sets? Were they pretty much the same? How he went
Oh
about
yeah,
teaching you?
yeah. They were pretty similar.
I mean, it sounds to me like it's all about quality over quantity.
Right.
And I tell you the interesting thing about that is when Joe Sabaticki came to Portsmouth, and I couldn't believe that our practices were never much longer than an hour and 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But the intensity and the tempo in which we went about practice, you got your conditioning done during that practice. So there wasn't a lot of conditioning after or before. And then when I went to college, my baseball coach Bob Morgan's the same way. Um, you practice at a certain tempo, and kind of what you're saying, Gene, and where your grandpa was. It sounds like it was all about quality and not quantity necessarily. Which I think sometimes we have these lengthy practices and we end up doing more harm than good sometimes.
Right.
Um, you went to Greenup County. You got to play, 6 years of varsity baseball, 5 of varsity basketball. You guys had a very good baseball team, went to the state tournament. Good friend of mine, Brody Shoup, was your catcher.
Yeah.
And I went and watched you play several times. And the one thing I noticed was the culture. And how important is culture in a team and winning? And how did you guys go about developing that winning culture that you guys had over there? You guys were like rock stars,
I mean, I think Greg pretty much demanded that out of us. Like we started winning and we've got a little taste of winning, and then it just goes from there and builds on top of that. And then it got to a point where it was expected. Like we were expected to win, and Greg kept drilling that in on us. So I think it's a big part, honestly.
And that's not something that's just there. It has to be developed. And, you talk about your coach, but the players have to buy in too.
Right. Yeah.
So Gage, I knew Scott Guggens took over the University of Cincinnati baseball program, good friend of mine. And you'd committed to full ride scholarship, University of Cincinnati. But you get drafted and you decide to go the professional route. Can you walk us through that a little bit? you got a full ride waiting on you, or go professional. Was that a tough decision for you to make?
Yeah, it was a pretty tough one, but I felt like I'd like to get started in pro ball sooner, I guess. So instead of waiting 3 years, playing 3 years at Cincinnati, I thought it'd be best to starting in pro ball early.
Mm-hmm. And I do know that I think that was an advantage, when you go into pro ball, and it used to be, I don't know about now, but back when they always seemed like they gave the guys that got drafted out of high school, and they kind of taught them their way. They always kind of looked at them a little different than the guys that came out of college sometimes.
Right. Yeah. I think the high school guys definitely have a little bit more like room to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're more patient with the younger guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, you get into pro ball and you have a couple injuries. I know that I've had some injuries myself, and just the mental grind and just draining, emotionally and mentally. Can you give us a little insight on how you dealt with that and kind of the emotions you went through when you were dealing with your injuries?
There was some highs and lows for sure. But I mean, I had a great support system through that all, and they helped me get through it. Did a little bit of like meditating and stuff too. I think that's big. Not a lot of people do that, but I think it's starting to come around though.
Well, Gene, we talk about that in mindfulness,
Right.
and I know we have plans to maybe interview a couple local women who are into yoga, which is basically meditation, and I definitely agree. That's something that should be done more in all sports, So what are you up to now? Do you see any? You see coaching in your future?
Right now I'm going to I'm at Shawnee, and I'm going to go into medical sales rep.
Okay.
So might eventually get into some coaching, but not at the moment.
So you want to make the big money?
Try to.
Yeah. We mentioned earlier you were a big time basketball player. I saw you play at Gene. Didn't he play in a tournament over at Portsmouth? Senior year? Yeah, I remember you hit a deep three at the buzzer right in front of me. You remember that?
Yeah, I think that was sophomore year, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The thing that I noticed more than anything, your athleticism, but you had an it factor. You had an aura about you, like a presence. You walked different. You were respectful of the game, but you still had a bounce in your step, and you just looked like, hey, I'm the man, without saying it. Where did that come from? And do you think that's important to have that mentality?
It's definitely important, because, I mean, if you don't have confidence, then, I mean, I don't think you can perform as well as you could. But I think that was something Pappy, my grandpa, started at a very young age. Just be confident.
Oh yeah.
And it's definitely helped me.
Gene, I've always wondered, and Gage, is that something you can develop, or is that something you're born with, or is it just a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, I think, absolutely. I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it also comes from your preparation.
There you go. Yeah.
And when you prepare, in baseball, when you prepare and you get in that box and you know what you're looking for, and you got confidence that you're going to hit it, it becomes just a way of life. And it's just like making shots. I used to enjoy watching Gage shoot, because when you released it was going in, and he knew it was going in. It didn't matter where he shot it from, but I watched that every day with his grandpa teaching those girls. When they shoot, he expects them to make it. And his coach is a little bit different. He don't want his girls getting upset when they miss. His thing is forget about that one and shoot the next one. So his philosophy is a little bit different than some other people. And I think that builds confidence.
Yeah.
For sure.
Gene, you talk about that. There's a lot of coaches that preach that, but I think Mike had a gift or has a gift to get the girls to buy into it. That's a total different thing, right?
Right.
So he has that it factor, like the great coaches do. That, a lot of coaches preach the same stuff, but the great ones get the kids to actually buy into it and believe it.
Well, and I think that goes back to what we talked about earlier. When you watch his practice, there's nothing that they do in practice is wasteful. Nothing. There's a theory to everything they do in practice. And you go in and saying, but he wants them to be focused. They shoot at game speed. They move at game speed. And it's the same thing. And they chart everything. So he knows who can make it and who can't. And, it's really, really fun to watch.
Gage, you were a switch hitter. Tie ball game, bottom of the ninth, runner on second base. You're coming to the plate. They're going to make a pitching change. You want them to bring in a righty or a lefty?
Gosh, honestly, I don't think it really would matter. I think I had a little more contact left-handed, so probably game on the line, I would probably have to go hit left-handed, have them bring in a righty.
Okay. Now, from what I remember, did you have a little more pop left-handed?
Pop was about the same.
Okay. So were you a natural right-hander and had to learn to hit lefty, or a natural lefty had to learn to hit righty?
He from the time I picked up the bat, Pappy started me with both. So
wow. Good move. That was a good move.
Yeah, real good move.
Yeah. Basketball, you said it was about 60-40, maybe 50-50. Was that ever a thought of maybe going to play, go play both in college?
Yeah, I thought about it.
Yeah. Did you have opportunities?
I did. I had a few basketball offers out of high school, and actually after baseball, I went to Georgetown to play for a little bit. Spent a semester there, played there. But I don't know. I think if I was 6'4", 6'5", it would have been a more likely. But definitely think baseball was the right choice.
Well, I know we've had Larry Heisel on the show, who was high school All-American basketball player, could have went anywhere, chose baseball. But he, if I remember right, Gene, he loved basketball.
Absolutely.
I know I've spoken to Al Oliver, who's, his career speaks for itself. Had signed with Kent State to play basketball, decided to go baseball. But I think both of them, from what I gather, maybe like basketball a little better. And it's almost like baseball chose them. They didn't choose baseball as much,
Right, yeah.
And so, they love basketball as well. How about the COVID year? That was a crazy thing. And I know you go a whole year without playing, and so you're responsible for your own workouts. How much contact did you have with the organization during that year?
So we went to spring training that year, and then we were there for probably a week and a half, and then everything got shut down. So they sent us all home, and so we were home, like you said, doing workouts at home, all that, and we would have like weekly meetings with our hitting coach and stuff. So we'd have to video throughout the week and send that into them, and then we would talk about it at the end of the week.
So they still were pretty hands-on and kept in close contact, making sure you're doing your workouts, meetings, things like that.
Yeah, they stayed on top of it.
Yeah. Now you played a lot of different positions, second, short, third. What was your favorite? If you had to choose one, where would you prefer to play?
Oh gosh, normally I would say short because I played it all my life, but I made the transition to third, and I think I like it better, honestly.
Yeah,
really liked it over there.
How about outfield? Did you play in the outfield at all?
No, never played in the outfield.
Yeah.
Just short, second, and third.
Yeah. I always thought with your athleticism, your ability to switch hit, there's no doubt you could have played outfield. Mm-hmm. So now you got a guy who can run, can throw, switch hit, play all infield, all outfield positions. I mean, I think you would have been a perfect 25th man on the roster, And I'm just going to tell you, I thought you could have made it. I really do. I'm not just telling you that. I've told everybody that. Unfortunately, you had the injuries and the COVID and just part of it, but it's unfortunate. When you look back on your career, do you have any regrets?
No. I think I gave it my all. So, I mean, with the injuries, they happen. I have no control over that. COVID, no control over that. But I think it was a good 4 or 5 years I had, and I don't regret any of it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do you miss the game? You miss playing?
I do.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a tough transition, like getting out of it to going back to school now and all that. But
I had a couple tough years dealing with. It's just becomes so much of you. You miss the guys and the competitiveness, and I struggled for a few years after my career was over too. And it is people don't understand the transition. How tough it is sometimes.
It's like you do it your whole life, and now starting a new life. Pretty much, that's how it feels.
Right.
Do you think baseball is who you were, or is it just what you did?
I think a little bit of both. I think baseball is definitely a big part of me, for sure. But I don't think it was all of me.
Yeah. And that's tough, because and as time goes on, you'll understand it was very important, but it also was not that important,
Right.
But did you deal? I asked you before we got on the air. Did you deal with any performance anxiety?
Not really performance-wise, but definitely throughout the rehab process, and that I struggled a little bit with some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to share any of that or expand on it any? Or
well, just typical. During the rehab, I just wanted to be out there playing, and I couldn't. And then there'd be days that felt good. I wanted to go throw or go run or something, and they're like, "No, you can't yet." All that, and that was tough because I felt like I could do it, but I mean, they were right. Probably shouldn't have and all that.
Yeah, it's hard to be patient.
Yeah.
I know when I had my injury, I just want to ask you. I had some guilt. I felt guilty for being injured, guilty for letting my teammates down, guilty for letting the people back home down. Did you struggle with any of that? It's a weird thing. You can't control it, but you still feel guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I did. Just I don't know, they went out, they spent some money on me, and I'm not out there to perform. And then it's not what they paid me to do. They paid me to be on the field, and I'm not out there. So, yeah, I guess I felt a little guilty about that.
Yeah. Gage, you got anything else you want to, or Gene, you have anything else?
Yeah, Gage, as you're, that next high school kid that's coming up that is going to be talented and got a chance to kind of follow through your footsteps and maybe make pro coming out of high school. What would you tell that young man on how to go through that?
I say just give it your all every day, work hard at it, and just continue to do what they do to improve every day. And I think at the end of the day, when they look back at it, they'll say, I gave it my all, and that's all you can do.
Typically, how many swings a day would you take live, and how many swings would you take off the say T work, what you do, prior to you becoming a pro?
We would hit probably 10 to 12 each way off the tee before we started, and then we would go into batting practice. So Babby would throw to me. We'd hit probably say 25, 30 each way. And then after that, we would go to machine work and do probably 25, 30 both ways there too.
Mhm.
So it wasn't a lot, but it was efficient work. So.
Right.
Gage, we put this athlete's mental performance journal together, and one thing we talked about is personal health habits and choices, sleep optimization, proper nutrition, proper hydration, obviously strength training. Was that something that you? What's the importance of that? Was the organization, the Kansas City Royals organization, were they very hands-on of making your day very structured, and or was that something you had to just do on your own?
They were pretty hands on. So like at the facility, depending on what time we'd get there, we'd have breakfast, lunch, and then after the workouts or game, we would have meals for us to take home with us. So we were always having good meals, and then like the hydration part, they would have these drip drop packets or some sort of hydration packets, like just right out in the open. So you're a little dehydrated, didn't feel well, walk by, grab one of those, put it in your water, and then we were good to go.
I think me and Gene talked a little bit yesterday about changing time zones and traveling through the night. And I know long bus rides and staying in not some of the best hotels. How did you manage your sleep in not so optimal conditions sometimes?
I've never really had to worry about the sleep part. I feel like I could sleep anywhere at any time. So I think that was helpful.
That was a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. These long bus rides, I'd be turn on a show, watch about 10 minutes of it. Before you know it, I was out.
Yeah. So a couple more. I'm just thinking some things as we're talking. Minor league baseball is a melting pot. I played with guys, I'm sure you did, from East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Florida, Texas. All of them had different personalities, different cultures. Played with Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Latin Americans. How did all that mesh together? I mean, you look at the division in our country, and I just look at the baseball locker room, the professional baseball locker room, and we have all these different backgrounds, and we come together as 25 guys and somehow get along. What was your experience in the locker room in professional baseball?
I loved it. I mean, we had people from Dominican, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, all those places. So I'd talk to them a little bit, learn a little bit of Spanish, just get to know them and their culture and stuff. But I think that's the beauty of baseball. I mean, you go in there, the outside world doesn't really matter. You're just there playing, carefree. It just brings everybody together.
Yeah, I personally think it's one of the best things about baseball, professional baseball. Just learn how to get along with people, listen, learn about other cultures, trying to learn their backstory. And I think our society could learn a little bit from professional baseball personally.
For sure.
The other thing I thought about, I think a lot of people, they come to the games in professional, minor league baseball, major league baseball. The game starts at 7, it's over at 10, roughly. And they think that you're there just an hour before or maybe an hour after. That's not the case, is it?
No,
What was your typical day in the minor leagues? What time do you have to be at the field? What's kind of the schedule?
Home game, say we had a 7:00 home game. We would get there probably 12:30, 12:45, and we'd just get ready, go through batting practice, individual work, ground balls, get some lunch, like They were long days, but I think there was a purpose to it all.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
get there early, get all your work in, and then you'd have probably 30, 45 minutes to settle down, do what you need to do before the game starts.
Mm-hmm. And then if you're dealing with an injury, you got to do your rehab or your prehab or and I know we had roving guys and instructors that come in and they may work with you on base running or your infield, but a lot of drill work, breaking the game down into the smallest of parts, and I don't think a lot of people realize that you don't just show up and take batting practice and go play. There's a lot of instruction, a lot of development.
Right. Yeah.
So, Gene, you got anything more to add or any more questions?
Gage, I've enjoyed watching you. I can remember your Aunt Amy texting me, telling me you got called up. Me and Lynn jumped in the car and got a chance to drive her and watch you play in Dayton, and that you got a chance to play in that game and just follow your career. And I've always admired your work. You hear about guys that are good players, but you not only was a good player, you was a good player because you worked at it. So hats off to your career, even though it ended up short. You made us proud for the time that you were there and what you done.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, Gene. That's a good point. I think, and I know when we had Macy Eaton, Macy was not only the most talented, or one of the most talented, and but man, she was one of the hardest workers, and I think a lot of people don't realize that
Absolutely.
a lot of times the best players are not there just because they're super talented, but because they're the hardest workers too, and the smartest workers, right?
Right.
But that's a very good point. Gage, I saw you play in high school. Mike Eastep was a great player. Mike Crotty was a great player. A lot of great players that I saw play personally. But the two best I've ever seen was a guy named Aaron McGlone from Grant County High School, Mr. Baseball, played at the University of Kentucky. Still have no idea how he did not get drafted. That's a travesty. And Gage Hughes. I mean, I thought this kid's talented. And when you're talented, you have your haters. And I was like, that's jealousy because this kid can flat out plays the game right. And I have no doubt you could have made it. I mean, I believe that. Unfortunately, had some injuries and COVID year, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But I think you were one of the best high school players I've seen. And I just always enjoyed watching you play. A couple times I did. I wish I would have got to watch you more, but it was a privilege. I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
But do you have anything else you want to add? And before we close it out here, I mean, anything that you think some of the young athletes out there need to hear? Anybody you want to thank? I know you got a lot of people that have helped you along the way. Just anything you want to add? Give you the time to do that.
I think for the young athletes, I mean, just keep working hard and pursue your dreams. Because I mean, a lot of people might say, "Oh, you don't have a chance," but if you believe in it and you believe in yourself, you always have that chance. And I also wanted to say thank you to family, friends, like everybody that supported me through the way. Like I couldn't do it without them, and they really mean a lot to me.
Yeah, you always need some help along the way, don't you? No matter how talented you are.
For sure.
Gene, you got anything before we close it out?
No, that's it. It's been a great opportunity to get a chance to talk to you, and I'm sure I'll see you somewhere along the way.
I'm gonna ask you one question here, Gene.
Yeah.
2000 what? 15, 16, 17, 18. How nice would it have been to have Gage Hughes in that roster?
Oh my. Yeah. That would have made things a lot different with him for sure.
Yeah.
I think
I know
we made a couple deep runs.
What's that?
I said I think we could have made a couple deep runs.
For sure.
Yeah. You have been a nice addition to anybody's squad, but I sure would like to see you in the red, white, and blue, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in all sports,
Yeah.
But now things worked out for you, and you made the right choice. And man, you got to play 6 years of varsity ball, so I don't blame you for that. But Gage, man, thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll see you around. And looking forward to watching your future. I have no idea if you put the same work into being a pharmaceutical rep or a medical equipment rep. I have no doubt you'll be successful. So,
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys having me on, and it was fun. Thank you.
all right,
All right.
Gage. Thank you, buddy.
Yep. Have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you.